The hull called my name. The sonar painted a voice 400 meters behind us. They handed me a child's whistle 2 seconds later, like contraband. Los Angeles-class boat, passive array. I was the mechanic. On a submarine, you learn by sound. Torque numbers, valve sequences, the way bearings sing when they're tired. On a boat, harmless things become rules, and rules kill curiosity. The captain gave us the rule once, and in a tone that left no room to bargain. Do not look through the periscope at dawn. The consequence was specific. The last man who broke it didn't leave a file, just a sealed locker and a blank spot on the watch bill. They passed the whistle to me without a story. White plastic with a faded red stripe, the mouthpiece chewed. For a week, it sat in my hand like a pulse. Then it sounded. The first chirp was small, careless, a child's note cutting the battery compartment hum. Man laughed, because a toy on a sub is an oddity, not an explanation. The chime chimed again, higher, and the laughter curdled into attention. Corby tore apart the conduits and the speakers. He traced every line until our heads rang. There was no wiring fault. The sound had not come through the speakers. It came through the metal, through the ribs of the ship, as if the hull had learned to whistle. We followed procedure: record, seal, log. The captain anthropomorphized the steps into language we could live with. Record it, but do not look at dawn. We slipped that first whistle into a locked envelope, wrote "restricted" on the tab, and placed it in the captain's safe beside a reel that showed a silhouette standing on the flat sea. Evidence in private, silence in public. The whistle became the nerve we could not ignore. Wherever it sat, men began to remember small things, names left unsaid, children they'd never seen again. It pulled at the seam between instrument and longing. Once, on a recorded 5-second sweep, taken under strict orders, the periscope feed showed a horizon like any other, then a bright climb, and a silhouette that turned toward the lens. The frame closed on something where a mouth should be. The projector blew, and the wardroom smelled of stopped breath. The captain closed his hand over the spool and said, with that same flat precision, "That is why you do not look through the periscope at dawn." The last man who ignored him left only a sealed locker. The boat began to answer us back. One night, the periscope alarm chimed though the mast was down. The speakers layered voices until the captain heard his own cadence return to him. Raise the periscope. He hit the mast breaker. The speaker shrieked. Then the hull was tapped from outside. 3 slow knocks, patient as a metronome. When the pattern repeated as we dove, we knew we were being followed by rhythm, not chance. That same night, the whistle threaded the forward bulkhead. 3 bright chirps that found every ventilation seam and wound through the wiring like a needle. It was close enough that the ducts hummed with it. For a moment, the boat smelled like a playground you could not place. I recorded it. I logged it. We obeyed orders. We obeyed the rule until the sonar read my name 400 meters behind us. You can make the technical arguments, refraction, wakes, photonic anomalies, and they fit pieces of the puzzle. They do not explain a whistle inside the hull or knocks that follow the boat down. They do not explain why reels go blank in edit rooms or why footage disappears from hard drives. They do not explain the men who returned hollowed, who quit laughing and learned to touch the periscope cap like a talisman. The whistle kept repeating in small ways. It turned up under a bunk, clipped to a reel, balanced on the periscope cover, as if someone had placed it there to be seen and then unseen. An object became a marker, one moment of proof, one signal you can pass between men when words fail. The whistle connected a sight to a sound, to a reading on a screen, periscope to presence to sonar, and it held those elements in place until the machine could not pretend they were unrelated. When the patrol ended, the official report said nothing beyond technical artifacts and a speaker fault. Privately, the evidence was boxed and catalogued as anomalous. Files were stamped and hidden. Men were reassigned. The institution turns noise into protocol, so a fleet can move on. But in lockers and in the captain's safe, the reels and the whistle stayed, proof that did not fit the public story. I left the Navy the next year, thinking I'd left the hull and its noises behind. I signed my clearance, boxed my tools, folded away the smell of diesel. Some things don't stay where you put them. At 2 in the morning, I wake with the old boat wrapped around my feet, and sometimes a faint bright chirp in the plumbing that sounds like a child calling through closed metal. My hands go cold. I close my eyes. If you ask whether the whistle belonged to a child or if it was a trick of optics, I'll give you 2 answers. The technician in me lists wiring and refraction and tests to run. The man who sat in the dark with a reel and the taste of stopped breath in his mouth gives you the colder truth. On a boat, we learned a hard rule because the alternative was to invite whatever answered to look back. I keep the whistle as a reminder, not to be opened, not to be played, and never to be trusted as proof. We obeyed the rule until the sonar read my name 400 meters behind us. Now I sleep with the curtains closed. I keep my hands off anything that sounds like a toy. I tell the story the way the captain told his order, flat, precise, and I mean the consequence when I say it. If someone on a boat tells you not to look at dawn, believe them. The small thing they hand you could be the hinge. The whistle taught me that some sounds are permissions you cannot revoke.